Hi, I'm Andre Huey and welcome to this edition of the Skn Newsline Newscast on Channel 95. Citizens are urged to be cautious as the country reopens and COVID cases fall significantly. More from Skn Newsline's Glenn Bart.
While there has been a significant reduction in the number of COVID-19 cases being recorded as a result of the national 24-hour lockdown, citizens and residents are urged to be cautious and to be responsible in their behavior. Towards the end of the 14-day lockdown of St. Kitts and Nevis restricting the movement of people, health authorities recorded cases dropping from triple digits down to single digits, and over the past few days only 10 cases were recorded in total. However, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris told citizens and residents not to be complacent as the country reopens for economic activity.
While we have seen some notable improvements over the past weeks, which allow us to now reopen further, we are not yet where we want to be. Therefore, in an effort to move closer to the ideal position, I continue to urge our people to get vaccinated, to remain ever vigilant, and never, I repeat, never let your guard down when it comes to COVID-19.
Inter-island ferry services recommence on Monday, 12 July, and most business operations have returned to normal operational hours. However, some restrictions remain in place, including prohibition on beach parties and a nightly 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew for the next 14 days. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
In a related story, quarantine time for vaccinated travelers lessened under the new measures announced by Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris. Skn Newsline's Jacinthia Teixeira reports.
St. Kitts and Nevis has significantly reduced the quarantine period for incoming travelers who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. In an address on Saturday, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris announced that fully vaccinated travelers will only be required to quarantine for 3 days upon arrival into the country.
Protocols for entry into St. Kitts and Nevis shall remain in full effect, save for the period of quarantine set out below. Quarantine for incoming fully vaccinated passengers will be reduced from 9 days to 3 days with testing on the 4th day and release once the test is negative.
The Prime Minister said home quarantine is possible but must be approved by the National COVID-19 Task Force, and private security must be contracted to secure the premises.
Quarantine shall be at a government-approved quarantine facility or at a hotel offering vacation in place. Those wishing to quarantine at home will continue to require and pay for private security during the period of quarantine.
The reduced quarantine announcement comes on the heel of the decision by the Cabinet of Ministers to reduce the travel tax for the next 6 months. At his monthly press conference on Thursday, July 8th, Prime Minister Harris said that the measure was taken to boost visitor arrival, thereby creating additional income-generating opportunities for persons in the tourism and hospitality industry. All incoming travelers will be required to submit a negative RT-PCR test 3 days before arriving in the Federation. I am Jacinthia Teixeira for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, entertainers to benefit from cash prizes from Carnival Song Contest. Elliot's Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliot's Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500. Homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007 or 660-0186. Elliot's Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis. Dedicated to those we serve.
When you need electronics or appliances, find just what you want quickly in one location. Yes, everything's under one roof. Only at Smart Electronics. We have tons of name brands, amazing service, and easy layaway plans. Summer is just around the corner, and we will save you the hassle of walking around town or going to St. Martin. We have everything you need right here in St. Kitts, so don't get confused and go different places. We are located at Port Zonte opposite the food court. Visit us today, or if you have any questions, you can call 466-4271. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life. Terms and conditions apply.
Where will we go when the quarantine thing done and everybody touch?
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one. Welcome back. A sub-regional approach is taken on cruise vaccination issue in a letter to the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, the FCCA. Glenn Bart reports.
A rough sailing might be ahead for the Caribbean cruise industry due to a ruling in the coast of Miami that prohibits cruise lines from only accepting passengers vaccinated against COVID-19 virus. In fact, asking passengers about their vaccination status could land a cruise line with a significant fine. The situation was created when the Miami State Administration challenged the directive of the U.S. Center for Disease Control intended to create a safe environment on cruise ships. The ruling will impact how Caribbean cruise authorities and governments deal with protocols headed into the 2021-2022 cruise season. Skn Newsline's Minister of Tourism, Lindsey Grant, said the issue is being tackled at the level of the OECS.
We do understand and appreciate that the new ruling out of Florida puts us in a different space, in that the ruling out of Florida says that the cruise lines cannot ask the passengers their vaccination status. We are looking at that matter very carefully because it is going to impact our industry depending on how it goes. I, however, should say that we have taken a collective and concerted effort within the OECS to address this matter. In fact, we sent off a letter jointly by the OECS territories about 3 weeks ago, indicating our disappointment with the issue in Florida. So we are hopeful that because of our collective approach, that this matter will inure to our benefit.
The restart of the cruise industry will be slow, and tourism authorities have been sensitizing stakeholders that the numbers will not be anywhere near the arrivals enjoyed before the pandemic broke out. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
Entertainers to benefit from cash prizes for Carnival Song Contest. More in this report.
Rise above financial hardships. Rise above bad relations.
One of the sectors severely hurt by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in Skn Newsline has been the entertainment industry, with hundreds of performers, producers and songwriters not being able to make a living, especially now that hotels, restaurants and other facilities are closed. While for many, entertainment is a leisure affair, this is not the case for numerous performers who rely on the economic activity to sustain their livelihoods. With this and the other factors in mind, the Skn Newsline Carnival Committee has launched a special Carnival song competition that is open to all citizens and residents. The contest opens on Monday, July 12th and closes on Friday, September 12th. The winning selection, which must embody the spirit of Carnival, will be used to promote the 50th annual celebrations in December, and it should be an original composition with a focus on Skn Newsline, its culture and sugar mass. Chair of the National Carnival Committee, Shannon Hawley, said in a press release that the song must be original, unpublished, not longer than 4 minutes, and should be able to stir a spirit of celebration and inspire audiences to sing along. Hawley added that performers may be individuals or groups not exceeding 6 persons. It was also explained that the top 4 songs will be chosen through an elimination process to determine the finalists. Those who make it to the finals will perform their songs live, after which the ultimate winner will be identified by public voting and by a panel of judges. A cash prize of $3,500 will be granted to the winner, while the remaining finalists will each receive $1,000. All details of the competition and application forms can be obtained from the Carnival Secretariat on Keon Street. I'm Andre Huey reporting for Skn Newsline. The country is gradually returning to normal this week with the announcement of the end of the 24-hour lockdown. Jacinthia Teixeira has more.
The Federation's economy will be gradually reopened this week as the government of St. Kitts and Nevis announced a host of new measures that will come in effect on Monday, July 12th. In a televised address on Saturday, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris said effective Monday, July 12th, there will be no 24-hour lockdown. However, a night curfew will remain in place but will now be imposed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily. These measures will be in place for 14 days in the first instance.
Starting Monday, July 12, 2021, there will be no 24-hour lockdown. A night curfew will remain in place, but will now be imposed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily. All residents shall stay at home during these curfew hours, except for essential workers. Number 2, all persons employed in the public service, statutory bodies, or state-owned corporations shall resume work. I emphasize that all government employees are to return to work on Monday, July 12th. Number 3, all businesses may return to normal working hours, subject to the curfew, and they must conform to all safety protocols. These, of course, include the construction sector, which can resume normal operations, our barbershops and saloons, which should have no more than 2 to 4 customers waiting. Of course, this is based on the size of their establishment.
The Prime Minister also announced measures for the transportation sector, churches, nurseries, and daycare centers.
Passenger buses will be allowed a maximum capacity of 10 passengers. However, all protocols must be observed, and the security officers will be enforcing compliance. Number 5, inter-island travel between St. Kitts and Nevis will resume again, with all COVID-19 protocols being strictly observed. The 6th measure, churches can resume normal services, but they must continue to observe all COVID-19 protocols, including social distancing. Nurseries and daycare centers can reopen using the COVID-19 protocols previously established. Bars and restaurants can resume normal operating hours subject to the curfew and must adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Sporting events will be allowed in accordance with the conditions outlined in the new SRNO. Social gatherings will be permitted, but organizers must first apply for permission from the Commissioner of Police.
St. Kitts and Nevis was under a 2-week, 24-hour lockdown to address the sharp increases in COVID cases in recent weeks. The Prime Minister said these new measures came in light of the significant improvement in the COVID-19 situation in recent weeks, and in particular has seen a drastic decline in positive cases over the last 4 days. Between Tuesday, July 6th and Friday, July 9th, there have been a total of 10 positive cases in St. Kitts and Nevis. I am Jacinthia Teixeira, reporting for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, regional news.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
It's the new and improved Skn Newsline Android mobile app. With the Skn Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the Skn Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search Skn Newsline, and download the app today. The Skn Newsline mobile app. News on the go. Welcome back. We turn our attentions now to regional news. A former police officer turned notorious gang leader is asking his supporters to join mass protests in Haiti. Al Jazeera's Patty Culhane reports from the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C.
Haitian police say these men, paraded out for the press, were the ones who carried out an attack that killed Haitian President Jovenel Moïse and wounded his wife. The suspects, 18 Colombian men, most of them former soldiers, and 2 Americans of Haitian descent. But now authorities say they have the mastermind, blaming a Florida doctor, saying he flew into the country on a private jet, intent on taking over the presidency. American investigators from the FBI and Homeland Security are believed to be taking part in the investigation now. But as for Haiti's request for U.S. troops, it seems unlikely.
And today, an interagency team, largely from Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, are heading down to Haiti right now to see what we can do to help them in the investigative process. And I think that's really where our energies are best applied right now, in helping them get their arms around investigating this incident and figuring out who's culpable, who's responsible, and how best to hold them accountable going forward. That's where our focus is right now.
There are reports that armed gangs have, in essence, taken over their violent crimes unchecked by police.
In certain places, we see 1 or 2 police officers. but they don't have the capacity to take over security. There are not enough police. The Director General of the National Police said there are enough police for the capital, but I don't see them. We can see one here, one there.
And now one of Haiti's most powerful gang leaders is threatening more violence.
We will take to the streets to ask those who monopolize the country's economy to give us our country back. It's time for black people with afro hair like us to own supermarkets, to have car dealerships and own banks. I call on the attention of the masters of the system because the people will take to the streets. The last time the people came out, they threw tear gas. When the people come out, we are going to use self-defense. I repeat, if they shoot at us, we already know what we have to do.
Many Haitians have been hiding in their homes, but some look for sanctuary in their churches Sunday, while Pope Francis sent them public prayers.
I join the heartfelt appeal of the bishops of the country to drop the weapons and choose life, and choose to live together in brotherhood in the interest of everybody and in the interest of all the others. I'm close to the beloved people of Haiti. I hope the spiral of violence will end and the nation will be able to recover the path towards a future of peace and harmony.
And still, there is a political void as politicians fight over who will lead next. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Welcome back. South Africa's army says it will deploy soldiers to help quell unrest sparked by the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma. More from DW.
South Africa's army says that it will deploy soldiers to help quell unrest sparked by the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma. At least 6 people have been killed in the looting and protests. Violence broke out last week when Zuma began serving a 15-month sentence for contempt of court. Now, looters have ransacked a mall in the coastal city of Durban overnight. Another shopping mall lay in ruins in nearby regional capital of KwaZulu-Natal after it was torched on Sunday. This unrest is mainly concentrated in Zuma's home province of KwaZulu-Natal, but it is also spreading to Johannesburg, South Africa's economic powerhouse. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has condemned the violence. Here's what he had to say.
But there are those who may be hurt and angry at this moment. There can never be any justification whatsoever for anybody to embark on violent and destructive and disruptive actions that negatively affect the rights of others.
And let's get more on this now. We are joined by DW's very own Christine Mundwa, who's standing by in Cape Town. Christine, we understand that South Africa's army is moving into the affected regions now. What more can you tell us about this unrest?
Sarah, it is clear that this unrest is intensifying. It started breaking out last week, Friday. That was some hours after the former president had been incarcerated. It started out as people saying, "Free Jacob Zuma." They had mobilized around key highways in the country, blocking roads. But by the time we were into the weekend, it was clear that this was going beyond that. We now saw images of people ransacking factories, shops. You talked about the burning of a shopping mall. Various trucks were set alight and truck drivers targeted. So there has been an intensification of this violence. In many cases, if you look at that footage, you either do not see police, or where there are police, they appear to be helpless as a mob runs helter-skelter, going amok in a particular location. And so as we understand it, the police have asked for assistance, and the soldiers that are going to be deployed in the true provinces in KwaZulu-Natal, the homeland of former President Jacob Zuma, and in Gauteng, home to Johannesburg. Soldiers, we're not clear the extent of the deployment, how many soldiers, how long it will be, but it is clear police need help because the violence is escalating, Sarah.
Who's behind the violence, Christine?
Well, this is the thing. Initially, you had people in the former president's camp. I'll name one person in particular, his daughter, Duduzile. Her Twitter account is very active. She has been retweeting some of the videos of the unrest in the country, essentially mobilizing the former president's supporters, saying things like Amandla, which means power to the people. This is us taking a stand against what they call the unconstitutional detention of her father. So there is that. But it is also clear that there are now opportunistic criminals who've jumped onto this. And you certainly heard the president allude to it last night as well. People walking into shops and ransacking. People are saying that no longer has anything to do with the former president's detention. But these are now just criminals, violent criminals who have now taken advantage of the situation because there are crowds out in the street. So there certainly is the responsibility to be borne by people in the former president's camp who seem to be mobilizing people, in some cases on tribal and ethnic lines, telling people to go out and cause chaos until their president, former President Jacob Zuma, is freed. But they have lost control of that situation now. It appears all sorts of criminal elements are now taking in because some of the looting and the ransacking appears to have some coordination to it, Sarah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about, you've mentioned it there, the fact that Zuma's appeal trial was really a big trigger for all of this violence, Christine. What are his chances of success now at this new court hearing? Just tell us what's going on there.
Well, essentially, Zuma's lawyers have to make the case. They've got to demonstrate one of three things here, that the court that handed him the sentence, which is, by the way, the court that he is appealing at now, he's asked this court to make a rescission of its ruling, to basically cancel its ruling. He's got to demonstrate three things. One, that the judgment was fraudulent. Two, that the court somehow made a mistake in its ruling. Or three, that new information, new documents have emerged since the court made its ruling. A lot of legal experts out there are listening to the case. We're watching it live as it's happening in this country. It is being streamed. A lot of people are of the view that he's not been able to successfully demonstrate either of those three conditions. So it is looking like it's going to be an uphill battle for this president, the former president of South Africa, to have the court that convicted him and sentenced him to rescind that particular decision. He remains behind bars as we speak.
Christine Mundwa with The View from South Africa. Thank you so much, Christine.
Hello, Italy has won the Euro 2020 Football Championship, beating England in a nail-biting penalty shootout. This was the scene in Rome when the Italian goalkeeper saved England's final attempt. Italy has now secured their first European Championship trophy in 53 years. The game at Wembley Stadium saw 65,000 spectators in the stands for the first time since the pandemic began. Let's go live to Paul Brennan, who's outside London's Wembley Stadium. So, terrible disappointment, I should imagine, there.
Well, scarcely has so much expectation been heaped on the shoulders of such a young team, to be honest, many of them in their early 20s. But the reality was that many people believed this was England's best chance of scooping a major football tournament for many, many years. They had several advantages. They had home advantage, for example. All three of their group games were here at Wembley. The quarter-final, they went to Rome and played Ukraine, but then they were back here at Wembley for the semi-final, and now this final. They had what many people believed was the easier side of the draw to get here for the final, and yet again, England fall at the final hurdle, and the most cruelest of ways, through penalties. It seems that England just have this hoodoo when it comes to penalty shootouts after extra time. I'm going to step just out of the way for a second. You can see the fans thronging out. It's been a party here outside the stadium for hours and hours and hours, since way before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Many ticketless fans, I'll step back in, many ticketless fans simply came down to the stadium to soak up the atmosphere, to drink alcohol, to eat food, to chant and sing. Those 65,000 fans lucky enough to get tickets and go in were there nail-biting through the whole game. There was the hope at the start when England scored. Luke Shaw just after 2 minutes, but then they seemed to lose their way, particularly in the second half. Italy really bossing that second half. England kind of composing themselves for the final minutes of the 90. Then into extra time, no breakthrough and penalties. And yet again, England fall short.
Paul Brennan, thank you very much. We can cross now to Adam Rainey, who's live for us in central Rome. And if you can hear me, it must be a completely different atmosphere there after that win.
Definitely, Lauren, unbridled joy, a total release during those penalties. It was such stress here, uproarious joy, uproarious screams of passion and fear that they were going to lose it all within 30 seconds. Every passion imaginable in a football match. We'd seen this match go back and forth from the beginning when England went up 1-0. Just 2 minutes in, and then there was a long lull here of just quiet as people watched, waiting for Italy to equalize. They finally did, and from then they saw that Italy was on the attack, and then when it went extra time and went to penalties, there was just an intense amount of passion and joy and stress palpable here in the shadow of the Roman Colosseum. Walking around throughout the game, you saw people watching in restaurants, bars, everyone rapturous watching this team, a team that has captivated the nation in this wake of the worst days of the pandemic in Italy, the country that had suffered COVID-19 worse than any other Western country earliest, still one of the highest death rates in all of Europe. So there was a lot more happening here than just football, Lauren. There was the whole country's hopes, passions, and feeling of freedom of being able to celebrate together something after so many long months of being cloistered with just families in their homes and perhaps just going back and forth to work and school. So a lot of joy here on display, people very happy, and it was such a tense final few moments to witness it here, and it happened as we were live with Andy and you earlier in the last bulletin. And that's what it feels like here, Lauren.
And tell us about the journey that this team have had. I mean, they've had an extraordinary run, haven't they, with well, it's now 34 on 34 matches unbeaten. It is quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's a huge achievement considering this happened also in the wake of such a devastating 2018 World Cup, in which Italy didn't even qualify for the finals. So we saw this country battered by the pandemic, battered by recent football history, and this team just captivated people. And under the directorship, under the leadership of Coach Roberto Mancini, Italy really rallied around him as this larger-than-life personality that shaped this team and made it able to come back like this in such a short time, to come and claim victory in this very important tournament. A tournament that played on the home field of England. Their opponent seemed like history might be playing for them, but Italy pushed. They took back the momentum in the second period and then got a lucky break perhaps in the penalties and took it home.
Thanks very much indeed, Adam Rainey there, live in Rome for us.
This has been the Skn Newsline and Newscast on Channel 95. If you want more on these stories, you can visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com. From all of us here at Skn Newsline, I'm Andre Huey. Thank you for watching.